interests. She quit the cabinet to protest the sale of Montreal's Gulf refinery to Ultramar. That company is closing the plant, and the layoffs have begun.
Bitterly cold dawn blizzard chilled to the bone some 400 men and women with futures as undesirable as the weather. By the end of their shifts, 1 in every 4 East Montreal Gulf refinery workers knew when the paycheck will stop. Some 250 others will be told the same news in the months to come. The permanent closure of much of this facility became inevitable when the Mulroney cabinet allowed Gulf Canada to sell it to the British-owned Ultramar. Sources say the Prime Minister was reluctant to protect these jobs because then refinery workers at 7 other troubled refineries in Canada would expect the same treatment, and that would be costly. But Brian Mulroney has paid a heavy political price for his decision in Quebec.
I was not pressurized to resign. It's my own decision, and it's a very personal decision.
It was Suzanne Blais-Grenier's sudden resignation over the Gulf deal that has turned national attention to the Prime Minister's increasing political difficulties in Quebec. Few west of the Ottawa River noticed when another Montreal Tory MP publicly criticized the deal a week earlier.
Ici Montréal, le lundi 30 décembre. Bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs.
But in Quebec, the Gulf deal has dominated holiday news, possibly accelerating the voter shift back to the Liberals many polls have been showing. Madame Blais-Grenier told the Prime Minister in her resignation letter, part of the problem is Quebec ministers lack clout, and she doesn't think having a Prime Minister from Quebec is enough, as Mr. Mulroney's spokesman suggests.
What does that mean, that we don't need any other minister and any other MPs because the Prime Minister is here? Obviously, he's the Prime Minister of Canada, and he has his hand full of other questions to look at.
Madame Blais-Grenier says the Mulroney cabinet acted with undue haste in allowing this refinery to close. That kind of public criticism from within could mean the Tories' fortunes in this part of Quebec are becoming more closely aligned with the fortunes of these men.
Hey, Happy New Year! Not for us, but for you!
And now our in-house weatherman, Mr. Stan Kubitschek, Mr. Stan Kubitschek, looking very casual, is standing by to give you an update. Stan?
K-U-B-I-C-E-K. 4 years we've been working together. It's in-house. What does that mean exactly?
You live here.
Sounds like I'm a madam or something. Anyway, tonight, a 30% chance of flurries. Tomorrow, cloudy with some sunny periods, an overnight low of -26 or 15 below, and a high tomorrow, -18 or 0. Sunday should be sunny. We'll have a full report on the weather. Plus, what kind of dip do you eat with microchips? A spokesman from Old Dutch has that story when First News continues right after this.
Friends, I'm Grant Turner from the Grand Ole Opry. May I suggest you have pencil and paper ready because I have an offer for you I know you won't want to miss out on. You know, down through the years as an announcer on the Grand Ole Opry, I've seen many entertainers come and go on the hallowed stage of this old building. And though a tragic plane accident took her from us, it seems only like yesterday. I can remember so well introducing one of the greatest of them all. A legendary performer, way ahead of her time. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Patsy Cline. Yes, folks, some good people here in Nashville have chosen 30 great songs recorded by the legendary Miss Patsy Cline and are offering them to you through this fantastic 3-record album or 3-cassette package. Songs like the one you just heard. And how about this one?
Oh, stop the world and let me on.
How about this great old gospel standard?
Just a closer walk with thee.
This lavish 3-record set is yours to enjoy for only $19.95. But wait, that's not all. Some Patsy Cline singles never before released have just been discovered. And if you place your order right now, we'll send you over the next year 4 additional singles absolutely free, along with a Patsy Cline newsletter with each single.
That's 3 albums or cassettes, 4 brand new songs, and the Patsy Cline newsletters for only $19.95 plus $3 postage and handling. But hurry, the supply of singles will be limited. Specify album or cassette, CODs accepted. To order, use your charge card. Call now 1-800-328-2828 or send $19.95 plus $3 shipping and handling to Patsy Cline Legend, Box 3428, Ogden, Utah.
Again today, Libya denied that it had any part in what it called the deplorable blood outrages at the Rome and Vienna airports. Libya charged that Israel and the U.S. is using the recent terrorist attacks as a pretext for aggression. Meanwhile, speculation is growing that the U.S. is preparing for a strike against Libya in retaliation for the Rome and Vienna attacks. At the same time, thousands of Libyans are rallying in the streets today to support Colonel Gaddafi. That report was made by Libya Television, and Western observers are skeptical. We have two reports.
In Mexico, for a meeting with President de la Madrid, President Reagan denied there's a U.S. military buildup underway in the Mediterranean.
No. You've got to stop listening to Gaddafi.
But in Norfolk, the aircraft carrier America is on alert and being loaded. Defense officials say, if ordered, it will be ready to leave port this weekend for the Mediterranean. It would join the Coral Sea, which steamed out of Naples this morning, with 4 squadrons of FA-18 fighter bombers. The Defense Department says the Coral Sea is headed for routine maneuvers in the central Mediterranean. And just arrived in the area, a half-dozen EA-6B prowlers, loaded with high-tech electronics that could be used to jam Libya's coastal radar and the radar-guided Soviet-made SA-5 missiles that are reported nearly deployed. Already at U.S. bases in Great Britain, Air Force F-111 fighter bombers that could easily reach Libya. The Defense Department calls all this prudent planning, preparation for any action President Reagan may decide to take. Defense officials say they have yet to give the president a final plan, but it could be done quickly. At a naval base in California earlier today, Mr. Reagan attacked Gaddafi once again.
And every time I read some things like Mr. Gaddafi sounding off the way he does, I just think to myself about all of you, and I can't be bothered with Mr. Gaddafi.
Administration officials say statements like these and public discussion of possible retaliation keep the issue of terrorism in the public mind and help prepare the country in the event President Reagan should choose the military option.
Tripoli Radio, which is run by the government, said rallies like this took place all over the country today. It said this is what the crowd is shouting. We are ready to face any attack by the American imperialists and the Zionists. We are ready to fight and join suicide squads. But there's some question whether any of this really happened today. These pictures were sent abroad by Libyan television, but were not shown on newscasts within Libya tonight. American journalists did not see any of this. They were taken by the government far from Tripoli, to some Roman ruins where visitors from Europe and Asia posed among the statues. That trip seemed designed to show the world there are non-Libyans here who might be hurt in any reprisal. Dr. Ali Traki, Libya's foreign minister, at his home in Tripoli tonight, saying Libya's support for the Palestinian cause does not extend to the terrorism of recent weeks.
We condemned hijacking of the planes. We condemn any action against individuals, including that one in Vienna and Rome. Libya has nothing to do with it.
That denial tonight is different from earlier statements by Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, who called the airport terrorists brave and heroic. It's not clear whether the government's new statements represent a shift in Libyan policy or simply an attempt to buy time in the face of a possible American reprisal. But it is clear that officials here believe an American attack is possible and even imminent.
The 2-day siege at the West Virginia State Prison in Moundsville is over. Prisoners released their last 7 hostages just after the noon hour. 3 inmates were killed during the hostage-taking incident. The inmates were complaining about poor conditions at the penitentiary.
John Wilson was the first hostage released today, led to an ambulance by West Virginia Governor Arch Moore. Then there were the remaining 6, some looking stunned and disoriented, others more upbeat.
Let's put it this way. It was a very scary situation.
Guard Ray Goggenbaugh was in the first hostage group released earlier. So was Edward Littell.
There was tense moments all around.
All of us were blindfolded all the time.
How does it feel to be out? I feel great.
Outside the prison today, Littell let his emotions show as the last of his friends were freed. To secure the release of hostages, Governor Moore promised the rebellious inmates no retaliation for the takeover.
Think you made a good deal? Haven't made a deal. I've got 13 people that are alive.
But there were inmates killed here. The 3rd body was removed this morning. and officials feared more bodies might be discovered.
We think that basically the time lag involved here may very well have occurred while an inmate council sat in judgment in determining who they were going to destroy of their own.
Late this afternoon, keeping his agreement, Moore returned to the prison and met with a group selected by the inmates. The 7 complained to the governor about prison conditions, and he, in return, promised to do what he could.
And now to today's stock market activities. Prices on the New York Stock Exchange rebounded from yesterday's profit-taking. Volume reached 105 million shares. The Dow Jones Industrial Average jumped more than 11 points to 1,549.2. Prices on the Toronto Stock Exchange were mixed in trading of close to 10 million shares. The TSE index was off less than a point at 2,881.4. Prices on the Vancouver Stock Exchange were generally higher in trading of 13.6 million shares. The Vancouver Stock Index rose over 9 points to 1,310.1. Gold prices were higher. An ounce of gold in New York was up $1, and silver prices were off slightly. An ounce of silver closed at $5.84. And the Canadian dollar continues its downward trend in terms of U.S. funds. It closed at 71.25 cents. Well, it's that time of the week when again we present our special feature entitled TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. The details in this report.
From Delhi, India, directing traffic as a performance art. And after 13 years, the dancing cop retired last week. From England, Charity as performance art.
A force 8 was blowing across the North Sea, the temperature down to just a couple of degrees above freezing. That didn't deter the 900 revelers determined to charge into the sea and raise £20,000 for charity.
Very, 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 very far. Happenini, 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 ha. Happenini, happenini, happenini. I say that's a frightfully good one, isn't it?
Ned danced an Englishman go out in the midday sun.
From Santa Barbara, this may look like an ordinary sidewalk painting, but neither the painting, the artist, Kurt Winner, or his attitude about it is ordinary.
Instead of being important as a finished product, it's more important as a performance. The painting actually exists in an unfinished stage for most of its life.
And it exists in its finished stage only until it rains. West Palm Beach. Even rain does not always stop Tom Noddy from making a performance out of soap and water.
I do bubbles inside of bubbles, smoke bubbles, clear bubbles inside of smoke bubbles inside of clear bubbles, inside out bubbles, yin-yang bubbles, caterpillar bubbles, love bubbles, and a bubble cube. And the yin-yang bubble is a double bubble, a smoke bubble and a clear bubble, the clear bubble and the smoke bubble and the smoke bubble and the clear bubble. It's my most difficult trick to say.
3, 2, 1.
I've never thought of riding a Jeep as performance, but in Hong Kong this week, 35 of Her Majesty's finest proved they could share one Jeep in order to go where? Not far. Why, you ask? Don't ask. It didn't happen this week, but this is winter barefoot skiing as performance. Barefoot break skiing. In a blizzard. In Colorado. Where mountains make you crazy. Finally, performance art as child's play. Freddie Kemp is 8 years old.
He took up the piano at age 4. His parents say they discovered his love of music when he was a baby. When they played classical records, little Freddie stopped crying.
Little Freddie started practicing and over the holidays was the youngest person ever asked to play with Britain's Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. Also the shortest.
I feel quite special.
Do you enjoy all the attention?
Yes, I do enjoy, but I'm not excited. I rather look forward to it.
That's winter water skiing on Lake Winnipeg, kind of a nice idea, isn't it?
pick up is, of course, it's icy in Lake Winnipeg. It'd be a little hard to water
Well,
ski.
you could get the snowmobiles and do a little trolling, maybe, would be an idea.
Okay, Stan.
How are you, Marge?
I'm fine.
Still suffering from a bit of the...
A little cold still, yeah.
A bit of the grip. Why do they call it?
That grip,
Why do they call
Stan.
it the grip, anyway?
I don't know.
It's certainly
I guess
food
it
for thought, though.
hold of you or something.
We did this at 5:55, and if I could take the opportunity one more time to remind everyone, it's Color the Weather with McDonald's, and we start on Monday, so get all the kids in McDonald's restaurants throughout the city and throughout Manitoba. Get in there, color the weather, send your entries in, and we announce winners at 5:55 with Marge right here on First News on CKND.
And stay tuned after the news, because this guy's going to be on Friday night again.
Thanks for the plug. Here's $10. We'll be right back. I got $10.
How do you remember to play Lotto 649?
I have a friend who reminds me. Boy, thank you, Elmer.
Darling, it's Mother. Did you floss? Don't forget dinner Sunday. Did you play 649 Wednesday? Never mind, you can still make Saturday's draw.
I have a really bad memory.
649.
Good bird.
Lotto 649.
Got my ticket, Hank. Thanks for the reminder.
How do you remember to play Lotto 649?
Winnipeg, it may sound incredible, but it's true. Brand new Fords for half price. At Keystone Ford, drive a brand new car or truck for half price. Half the sale price. Payments start as low as $109 a month. 200 Escorts, Tempos, Thunderbirds, even top Ford trucks and more. Lease it for 3 years for half price. You pay for the better half, the half you drive. But due to the unusual nature of this sale, only one car per family, please. Drive a new Ford for half the sale price. Only at Keystone Ford.
A young woman is terror-stricken by the haunting visions in Isabel.
I'm just not.
Oh, go on, Belle. You're doing fine.
No, I'm not. I am not.
Why, them meals you cook for me, they're better than your mother cooked.
Uncle, I only had 2 weeks off. I've got to go back to my job. And even if I were going to stay...
Jean-Van Bouchon stars in the thrilling drama Isabel. Monday at 8 on good-looking CKND TV. Brian Lanahan hosts a half hour of in-depth interviews with Hollywood's best on City Lights. Join CKND TV Monday through Thursday at 11:30 for City Lights.
Speaks about...
Good evening, everybody, and boy, I'll tell you, it's sure a treat to be with you on this, Friday what day is it? Friday. Thanks very much. Where would you be without a floor director? Nice to be with you on a Friday night. Let's get right to the information, because we don't have a lot of time, and we want to get as much information in as possible. There's a look at the satellite picture. You're going to get a lot of ground snow. There's a low-pressure system coming in from the west, coming in from Saskatchewan, actually. That brought in some cloud. It brought in some flurry activity earlier today. That's moving out of the province, and by tomorrow we're expecting the arrival of this long-awaited Pacific high. This is the thing here, and that's going to bring in some sunshine for tomorrow. The bad news with that high, though, is that we're going to get the cold Arctic air that's coming in from the north. A very large Arctic air mass is settling in over southern Manitoba, and that is going to keep the temperature well below normal. We were expecting a little warmer temperatures with the advent of that Pacific high, but the Arctic air going to keep the temperatures cool. But we will be sunny, and we can thank that high for that. Temperatures recorded today across Canada. There's a look at them. Vancouver in at 5. It was -8 in Edmonton. Calgary was -2. -13 Saskatoon. Regina managed -9 today, not bad for them. Winnipeg at -20. You move into eastern Canada, Thunder Bay at -13. It was -1 in Toronto. +2 in Halifax, -10 in Ottawa. St. John's was sunny. They were -3. The Canadian hotspot today was a tie with Vancouver and Victoria at 5 or 41. In the United States, New York was 9, Miami 27 or 81 above. Dallas was 21. That's up in the low 70s. Los Angeles was 18. Seattle was 6. It was -5 in Minneapolis. And a +2 for Chicago, the Windy City. +2, that's about 36 degrees on the Fahrenheit. Time for that special stroll in the current conditions. This doesn't seem to be very popular. The magic troll. I don't know. Can we get a close-up of the Magic Troll? Maybe you could write in, we could vote. With the crew around here, the Magic Troll just, I don't know, it doesn't seem to, the feet too are good. Can we get the Magic Troll a proverb, maybe from the Magic Troll? Let's just see if there's anything happening here. Not a bad proverb to start, but we'll work into it. In other words, the bit stinks is what you're trying to tell me. Fine. Let's go to the temperatures. Minus 34 up in Churchill, minus 30 in Thompson. Flurries in northwestern Manitoba, minus 19's Flin Flon and the Pas. Across the south, still some flurries in Dauphin, but fairly mild when you look at it, at least from the west. Minus 21 in Gimli, Winnipeg minus 24, and it's currently minus 23 in Steinbach. Our forecast tonight, 30% chance of flurries. A high tomorrow, minus 18 or 0. The outlook for Sunday, mainly sunny. Currently, we're clear. The wind out of the west at 15, minus 24 Celsius. That is 11 below Fahrenheit. Have a good one. We will see you Monday. Actually, we'll see you at 11:30. Brian Swain's coming on with Sports Bloopers on Friday night. I hope you could join us. No, it's not Mr. Sports. Be Mrs. Sports. Joe Pascucci coming up with lots of sports information right after these very important messages.
Come on, gang. This year, everyone wins at Disneyland. Right, Mickey? Right. We've got RCA TVs, Mickey Mouse watches, hurry up, collectible pins, PSA tickets, and Kodak cameras, popcorn and passports, even 1986 Pontiac Firebirds. So what's that mean? Everyone wins every day. I don't hear you. Everyone wins every day.
Coors Light beer.
Hello there. We're the Irish Rovers, of course, and you know, in all the television shows that we've done over the years, even though we took our name from an old sea song, we've never yet devoted one of our shows entirely to songs of the sea. But this is the time to change all that, as us old salty dogs get together for a full hour of folksal songs, farewell ballads, sailors' favourites, and old shanties.
It keeps getting better. Saturday at 6 with the Irish Rovers special, Salty Dogs, on good-looking CKND TV.
Mozart, Beethoven, folk music. Much thrilling music was written to be performed by the most skilled musicians, with the audience grouped closely around to hear every subtle nuance. Manitoba Chamber Orchestra. Classic series in Young Church. Candlelight concerts in the Fort Garry Hotel. Manitoba Chamber Orchestra. Your soul vibrates in harmony.
And now we have sports with Joe Pascucci, and Joe says he doesn't have any good news for us tonight.
Marjorie, I'm just a bearer of bad news these last few days. You know, the Jets were hoping to start the 1986 season, the second half of their NHL season, on a winning note, something so they could put the memory of their first 40 games behind them. Well, a 7-3 loss to the Montreal Canadiens was not the way to start the new year. Bad goaltending, poor defensive play, and sloppy work in the offensive zone continue to plague the Jets. Now, the Jets opened the scoring in the game. Before it was a minute old, Elliott with the bank pass to Thomas Steen, and from back of the net, Steen sets up Doug Smale, once times his pass Waugh, his 8th goal, 1-0 Jets after just 36 seconds. 32 seconds later, Canadians would tie. Chris Nyland slaps it past Hayward, who was caught too far back in goal. Later in the period, Jets just miss. Howardchuk gets around Tom Curvers, makes the backhand pass right to Ray Neufeld. He was robbed by Patrick Waugh. Howardchuk would come down that right side once again. This time, Swoboda checks him of the puck, but he clears it right to Randy Carlyle. Carlyle will beat Waugh. It's a power play goal. First period ends with a score of 2-1 for the Jets. Second period, Canadians tie as Bob Gainey will come down the left side. Hayward commits himself way too early. Gainey has most of the net to score his 200th career goal. Canadians then take the lead. Boschman loses the face-off to Ryan Walter. It results in a goal by Lucien Deblois, 3-2. But the Jets will tie before the period ends. Boschman controls